everyone, and welcome to another episode of Reel Me In, a movie podcast where you didn't really ask for it, but hey, I'm going to give it to you anyways. This is a podcast where I talk about anything, everything, and anything about movies. I'm your host, Chase Lee, and hey, guys, listen, if you were searching on the internet for, I don't know, like some random recipe to like send to your loved one in jail because you want to try to break him out, and you accidentally came across my podcast and you're not a movie fan, well, hey, maybe I can convince you to be one. So this is episode 118, guys, and if you are new to this program, what I do is I go over some movie news, some movie trailers, and I will have my reviews for Risen and The Witch for this weekend, and of course, box office results for the weekend, and then we'll close this bitch out, and you guys can go home, sleep, and masturbate, whatever you guys do on Sundays. I'm not going to judge, because we all do that, and, you know, depending on which order. So anyways, if you guys are watching on YouTube right now, you guys can see at the bottom right here that I actually have the headers working. I have the lower third. So the cool thing about this is that I have every section labeled. So if I am talking about the movie news, I will have the movie news banner up, movie trailers, that banner up. When I'm talking about each movie, I will have that banner up. So you can actually skip around. Just scrub through the video and see whenever the banner changes, then you can just stop right there. So that way, if you want to skip a part, or if you just want to start the video and go straight to the end for whatever weird reason, you can do that. So and then if you're listening on Spreaker or iHeartRadio, welcome back and everything. And I will have a link in the video description for a video version for the YouTube, and then for YouTube, vice versa. You get audio only version if you want that as well. So let's get started, guys. I'm by myself today, so let's do this. Let's get into some movie news. So there was some news that dropped this week that was somewhat interesting, some speculation, and then some just fucking why. So there was a lot of casting news. Now I reported on the show a while back that Emily Blunt, I just ruined that for you. That Mary Poppins, the sequel, was coming, and it's gonna be really hard to kind of replace Julie Andrews. And the news story is that Emily Blunt is in talks to play Mary Poppins. This news is awesome. Like, seriously, okay, no, Julie Andrews, who played the original Mary Poppins back in the day, no one can replace her. She is Julie fucking Andrews. However, when you throw the name like Emily Blunt around, I'm actually okay with it. Like, she actually would fit perfectly into that role. Now, I don't know whether they're doing like a straight up sequel and they're, jumping ahead in years, or if like they're doing a prequel and they're going back or whatever. But I can tell you this. Emily Blunt's got talent. She's got charisma. She's very, very pretty. She's a very talented actress, especially watch Sicario. If you guys are not convinced about Sicario, then that will change your mind about her. But her playing Mary Poppins is actually a really good choice, and I would have never thought about that. If you kind of look at her next to Julie Andrews, like when she was playing Mary Poppins back in the day, they almost look like they could be siblings. So I think this is a great choice. I hope Emily Blunt signs on that dotted line for Mary Poppins 2. I'm totally down for that. That just sounds delicious, like super delicious. The next piece of news is that it's another casting news, is that a few weeks back I reported that Aaron Sorkin, the infamous writer behind Steve Jobs, The Social Network, The West Wing, The Newsroom, he is having his directorial debut in Molly's Game, which is like in short, it's a gambling book. It's a fictional book, but he's going to tackle on that, and he's also going to write it as well. Now they're in talks to add Jessica Chastain as the main character. Sign me up, please. Not only am I excited to see how Aaron Sorkin takes one of his scripts and directs it, because he's never directed before. This is his debut. And I'm really excited to see what kind of cast he comes up with, because when Aaron Sorkin writes his fucking scripts, it is going to be immaculate. It is going to be tight. It is going to be just fast dialogue, and it's all going to make sense. It's just going to hit you all at once like a freight train. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Don't stop. So adding Jessica Chastain to this, I think, is a very good move. The first time I ever saw her was, I think it was Lawless. And what a great way to introduce me to her with that movie. Because she was topless. Because I'm pervy, I guess. But no, after that, I saw movies like Zero Dark 30, and I never saw A Most Violent Year, but I hear that one's pretty good with Oscar Isaac. But when you watch movies like Zero Dark 30, I think the movie's fine overall, but like towards the tail end of the movie, when you can kind of see like the dread and the pressure on her character, and at the very end on how it ends and stuff, it's pretty powerful, and all it has to go into Chastain's acting, and she's just an up and coming talent that I can't wait to see in no matter what she does. Like I'm actually curious about the Huntsman movie, even though I didn't see the first one, nor do I really care about it. So I mean, when you add, because speaking of Emily Blunt, she's going to be in the Huntsman as well. So when you add talent to a project, I'm going to be more willing to go see it. So Aaron Sorkin already writing and directing has intrigued me, but now Jessica Chastain is in talks. Fuck yes. So I hope this happens. It seems like she would be perfect for an Aaron Sorkin movie, and I want to see where it goes. The next piece of news is that Blade Runner 2 is coming. Now, the first Blade Runner was directed by Ridley Scott and starred Harrison Ford, and it didn't really do well back in the day. It gained a cult following, and now it's regarded as one of the best science fiction films of all time. Now the sequel is coming, and it comes out in 2018, and it's going to start Harrison Ford again. It's going to have Ryan Gosling. Roger Deakins is going to shoot this thing. Yes. And it's going to be directed by Denis Villeneuve, and he did Prisoners, Enemy, and recently Sicario. I'm excited for the project, just because of the talent behind and stuff, even though I haven't really finished Blade Runner. I own it, but I only watched half of it. I just haven't finished it. I know. You can throw your fucking pitchforks at me. Just, don't hit my face. I'm all looking forward to this. But the news is the release date was announced. They're going to release this movie in January 12th to be specific. Why? Like, this movie seems like it would be like a tail end of the summer or like the fall or something. Maybe in a movie that could be considered for Oscars and stuff. I've never found it to be a January movie. And January, like you guys know, is like the shit grounds for, terrible movies. Actually, I've been somewhat surprised by this year. It's really funny. Like The Boy, I think, was my favorite January movie. I think I'll have to go back, but yeah, usually January and like maybe some of February. It's just not good months. Like no one wants to go out, and they're all like stuck at home and stuff. They just don't want to, motivate themselves to go to the theater, and I totally get that. But the fact that Blade Runner 2 is going to be released in January kind of fucking scares me. Because Denis Villeneuve, he's one of my favorite up-and-coming directors. I absolutely love Prisoners, which is his most successful one. And then Enemy was extremely underrated. No one ever talks about that. And then Sicario was on my top 10 of last year. And Sicario actually did a lot better than Enemy, but still. Denis Villeneuve is one of these directors to where he deserves the attention. He does, because every film he makes is immaculate in terms of the visuals and the acting and just the gripping stories that he has with his movies. He deserves a whole lot more. So the fact that they're sticking it in January kind of frightens me. Now, I heard that Blade Runner 2 is being made by Alcon, and they just released Point Break, that stupid remake, in December, and they lost a shit ton of money. When we get to the box office results, if I remind myself, I will tell you how much, but they lost a lot of money. So I'm wondering if they're sticking it in January because they just don't have enough for marketing. They just don't. They don't have enough to make it, and they have enough to release it. And releasing it in January, the dumping grounds will save them money. But at the same time, like, that just doesn't seem like a January movie. Like, people will go out during Martin Luther King Jr. Day weekend and go, yay, let's go see Blade Runner 2. No one's going to say that. It's fucking cold months and stuff. And, like, the movies are not, like, where people want to go. So, I don't know. I feel like this movie should deserve a lot more attention, especially with the talent behind the camera and the fact that it's a sequel to a beloved cult classic. I don't know. It just boggles my fucking mind that they're opening in January. But, hey, maybe they'll set the trend for biggest grossing January movies, because Deadpool did that with February, so we'll see. The next piece of news is that Transformers, good old Transformers. Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to number 5 like at all, and I gotta tell you, them coming out with one every single year just kind of like, it makes my soul kind of cry a little bit. Like my soul, like actually wants to leave my body and like go cry in the corner. So I just want to pat it on its head and like, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, so Paramount wants to milk the Transformers franchise to death. I get that, but at the same time, make quality films. They want to do spin-offs. And by spin-offs, I mean they want to focus on Transformers. Now, the story that's coming out is that Paramount wants to do a spin-off of Bumblebee. Okay, so every Transformers movie is about the length of a Lord of the Rings movie. So what you're sitting there and telling me is that Bumblebee will be 3 hours of this giant-ass robot made out of, the most recent yellow Camaro, and he's just going to be walking around Earth and just spouting off shit, because Bumblebee is the one that communicate through a radio. So that's how he talks. He picks up airwaves and he communicates through the radio. So is this just going to be a whole movie of like radio excerpts? Like, how is this going to fucking work? How are you going to be concentrated for 2 hours on one sole Transformer? The one thing I've always disliked about the Transformers movies is that Michael Bay can shoot action, but he can't keep a camera steady. So you can't really tell who's fighting half the time. And, people go to these Transformers movies to see action and the Transformers in groups and stuff, but they don't see it like an Optimus Prime movie. Maybe, but Bumblebee's kind of like a side character. He just is. And now, is he like Optimus Prime's right-hand man? In the movies, kind of. A Bumblebee spinoff? Why? Who the fuck is going to pay to see that? Who's going to wake up one morning and go, oh, I should see that. Oh, man, I should see that Bumblebee spinoff, because it just looks really, I just want to hear a fucking Camaro talk through a radio the entire time. That sounds fucking delicious. No, it doesn't. You stop it. So this is just awful. I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to know any more about it. I just want it to go die in Paramount's idea vault and never come out again. It's stupid. But you know what? Since these movies make a shit ton of money, Paramount's going to fucking make it. So not really too happy with that news, but whatever the fuck. All right. And then the last piece of news. Now, Deadpool is rated R, and he is a Marvel comic book character, and he fucking slayed the box office and made it its bitch. Now, the news is that Wolverine 3, Hugh Jackman's final film, is aiming for a rated R now. Let me just say this before I tell you my thoughts on that. Movie studios, me and you, mano a mano, do not have this fucking trend of superhero films that are rated R because Deadpool was successful. Just fuck it. No, don't jump on any trends, okay? The reason Deadpool worked is because that's that type of character, okay? Not every superhero movie needs to be rated R. And on a side note, it was not the first one, by the way. I don't know why people say it's the first one. Fucking Blade was the first one, motherfuckers. Do you guys remember that from the 90s? Yeah, that's a Marvel property. And that was rated R, and that was pretty awesome. So there's been plenty of graphic novel and comic book adaptations that have been rated R. Now that Deadpool is super successful at it, now I can see theaters trying to make everything rated R now. It's the same thing that happened with James Cameron's Avatar back in 2009. That thing came out, was super successful, it's still the highest grossing movie of all time worldwide, and it was released in 3D. And every single movie after that was like 3D this and 3D that, and it fucking gets annoying. Do I mind seeing movies in 3D? No, but they need to fucking stop it, because not every movie needs to be in fucking 3D. So Hollywood likes to follow trends. So that's all I wanted to say is, for the love of everything that is fucking holy, don't make everything rated R just because Deadpool was successful at it. Have that be its own thing, and keep the X-Men in PG-13. However, Wolverine being rated R, I'm actually okay with. Wolverine is the type of character to where if you read the comics and you can kind of get a sense of his character, this guy's brutal. He doesn't curse that much. I mean, he uses foul language. He's like one of the main reasons they get slapped with that PG-13 rating in every X-Men movie, because he's like one of the only people that say the F word. But that's just him, though. He's kind of like that tough fucking dude that you see at a bar and you don't want to fuck with. He is violent. He's got a dark past. he does curse every now and then. And I'm sure for all you ladies out there, every time we see an X-Men film, we always see Hugh Jackman's ass. So I just think Wolverine would be fine with rated R. I want to see him be as violent as possible. Because the thing with the Wolverine, the one that came out in 2013, that was supposed to be rated R. And if I heard like on the Blu-ray, one of the Blu-ray versions, there is an R-rated cut. I didn't see it. I own the regular version, and the regular version is fine. But I would love to see Hugh Jackman and the Wolverine character come to life and be as violent as possible, because that's what he is. This is a guy that has fucking 6 equivalent knives just coming out of his fucking hands, and in the comics, like, you can see him slay these people, and it's brutal. So why not go there? Wolverine's that type of character. Now, if we're making like I don't know, like a Magneto or Professor X origin story, that doesn't need to be rated R. I don't think so. X-Force, that could be an argument to be made for rated R. Deadpool, sure. And then Wolverine, I'm okay with. So having Wolverine rated R, if they go this route for the third one, I am totally okay with that. I think it fits the character, and I think it would be like one of the best send-offs ever to this character. You know, send off to Hugh Jackman and make it like a true Wolverine, no holds bar, you fucking go for it type of movie. With that being said, though, Hollywood, do not make every movie rated fucking R now, because, oh shit, well, Deadpool was successful, so we should probably fucking do it. No, you shouldn't. You sit in your fucking corner. No, we don't need that shit. And plus, we already got like comic book and graphic novel adaptations that are rated R, and they do just fine. Watchmen is one of my favorite ones. 300, Deadpool, Punisher, Blade. These are all rated R, folks. Not everything needs to be rated R, but the Wolverine 3 being rated R, I think it works for his character. And if they do an X-Force movie, which they are planning on doing, if that one's rated R, I'm okay with that. It's basically like a band of anti-heroes, so they always walk that thin line of what's good and what's bad or whatever. So I would be okay if an X-Force is rated R, because they have their morality is a little bit more blurred, so it makes more sense. But Wolverine being rated R, I'm totally okay with. So that is it for the movie news, guys. If you want to comment on any of the news stories or whatever, you can comment in the place right up on my face and let me know. All right, let's get on to some movie trailers for the week. The new trailers that came out this week. Oh, boy. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get fucking bumpy. All right. I got to tell you, out of the 5 I'm going to talk about, I only liked 2 of them. Yeah, it was one of those weeks. So, the first one I want to talk about is The Boss. Now, I've already covered this trailer numerous times, but this was the second Red Band trailer, so I was like, okay, so maybe they're hiding all the good stuff because they've only shown Green Band so far, and they've shown one Red Band, but it wasn't even that Red Band. I still don't like it. It's just one of those movies that it just... Okay, it stars Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Bell, and I'm not blaming Kristen Bell. I'm blaming more Melissa McCarthy and her husband, because Ben Falcone, which I think is a very funny guy on his own, they did Tammy last year, and I heard Tammy was like critically panned. I didn't see it, so I can't really comment on it, but there was so much negative backlash on that movie. They came back and did The Boss, and just watching the trailer for The Boss, I can see why people hated Tammy. It doesn't look funny at all. It looked everything was forced. All the jokes I've already seen before, like, Girl Scouts cursing and throwing shit everywhere. Kind of reminds me of Dodgeball a little bit. You guys remember that? That was a funny scene, by the way, in Dodgeball. But for The Boss, I don't find it funny whatsoever. It doesn't grab me at all. And even watching the second Red Band trailer, I may have maybe smirked once, and I was like, ugh, if that's like the majority of the movie, fuck, I do not want to pay for it. So The Boss, Red Band trailer 2. Let me know what you guys think down below. What you guys think of Melissa McCarthy in general, or Tammy, or The Boss or whatever. I like Melissa McCarthy quite a lot. I'm looking forward to Ghostbusters, but dear Lord, I am not looking forward to this one. The next one I want to talk about is Pee-wee's Big Holiday, and my buddy Scott Menzel loves him some Pee-wee, so he's the only one I know that's going to be excited for it. I didn't really care for it. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is Tim Burton's first directorial movie. I remember watching it as a kid. I just didn't really care for it, and I don't care for it now. Am I hating on this movie? No. And when I go to South by Southwest next month and I go with Scott to see Pee-wee's Big Holiday, I'm not going to groan throughout the entire time, but I will sit there and just be like, just be entertaining, please. I just didn't find the trailer funny at all. I mean, it was charming. It had like a charm factor, kind of like what Pee Wee Herman does in his movies, but it's just whatever. If I check it out at South by Southwest and it's good, I'll eat my words. But until then, it looks meh. It looks okay at best, and it's got like this charming aspect about it. And it comes on Netflix in almost a month actually. So okay. So the next trailer I want to talk about is. Okay, I'll talk about the two good ones first, and I'll get to the last one because the last one kind of makes my head hurt. All right. The next one I'm talking about is Bastille Day, and this stars Idris Elba. And from what I can gather, I forgot the main plot, but it's just like, a undercover cop story, I think. And, Idris Elba just kicking ass, and it looks like his version of Taken and stuff. It looks great. I've always been a huge fan of Idris Elba. I think he is one of the best around, and I'm excited to see anything he does, and this looks really great. It looks gritty, it looks intense, it looks like it could be a really good action thrill ride. If you like Idris Elba, I would just suggest you to go watch the trailer, because I was actually surprised by it. I was like, oh shit, when is this coming out? I kind of want to see it. The next trailer I want to talk about, which, oh man, this is my number one most anticipated for South by Southwest, hands down, bar none. Get the fuck out of here. Midnight Special, directed by Jeff Nichols, stars Michael Shannon, my boy, Kirsten Dunst. Who else is in it? Sam Shepard's in it. Basically, he took his cast from Take Shelter and Mud and crammed him in this. This just looks great. It looks like a mix of E.T. and Super 8. There's a shroud of mystery behind it, and I'm just like, what the hell's going on? I'm so intrigued by it. Essentially, this little boy gets powers, and I'm assuming it's like through his eyes or whatever, because like he kind of has like the Cyclops effect where he's like shooting shit out of his eyes. And, the dad's like, oh my God, we got to get you out of here. The government's trying to come after you. So it's like a cat and mouse game between this little boy and the government or whatever. And you're like, what does he have? Is he alien? Is he human? That's what I liked about this trailer. Sets up the tone, shows you a few clips, shows you some acting, and you are hooked. You just are, because I don't know anything about this movie besides the basic premise of the little boy. And there's so much suspense to it and so much that I don't know about it. That's why I'm intrigued to see this the most. And plus, I was going to see it regardless just because I'm a huge fan of Jeff Nichols. Take Shelter and Mud are pretty damn awesome. I highly suggest you check those out. So the second trailer, like, I like the first trailer, but the second trailer blew me away. I was like, oh my God, like, this thing looks awesome. So that is my number one anticipated for South by Southwest. I cannot wait. All right, and then the last one. Okay, folks, listen, I'm a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll put that out there. I think his movies are entertaining, and he's made some of the best action movies of all time. I never saw a Kindergarten Cop, nor do I want to. I've seen Junior and I've seen Twins, and Arnold Schwarzenegger doing comedy is just about as efficient as when I do comedy, which sucks. So I never saw Kindergarten Cop, nor do I want to, and I didn't even know they were coming out with a sequel. The final trailer that came out this week was Kindergarten Cop 2 starring Dolph Lundgren, whatever. Oh, this trailer's so bad. This trailer's so bad. First of all, it starts out with Dolph Lundgren is Kindergarten Cop 2. He's not the Kindergarten Cop. He's the Kindergarten Cop 2. So I hope in the fucking movie they're just like, hello, Kindergarten Cop 2. Like, that's mistake number one. Second of all, it looks cheap as shit. It looks like it was straight to a TV movie, which would have been fine if it went to TV, but no, this is getting like a Blu-ray digital download release. Ugh, gross. And then it looks so cheesy in the jokes and stuff. You're like, wow, this looks like a really bad kids movie. It kind of reminded me of I saw Daddy Daycare with Eddie Murphy, but I heard, like, I never saw Daddy Day Camp, the one with Cuba Gooding Jr., but it looked like this. It just looks so cheap and generic and it doesn't offer anything. So it was already a bad trailer. And the announcer, the trailer voice guy, He's he sounded like a oh man, what was it? I think of like I think when I was watching, I was like, he sounds like the guy version of Siri. I don't know. It was really weird. Like it was such a weird, out of place and very cheap voiceover. And then here was the shocking thing about it. It said coming to Blu-ray and digital download. And I was like, well, I'm gonna pass on that. But then the rating was down below. This thing's rated PG-13. Why? This movie looks like it appeals to the G-rated crowd, maybe even below that. So I don't know why it's PG-13. That just boggles my mind. But it's a terrible trailer. And I think the funniest thing is when they said Dolph Lundgren is Kindergarten Cop 2. That's what he says. So I hope they address that in the movie like, yo, who's that? Well, that's Kindergarten Cop 2. Oh, thanks. I realized I'm in a shitty movie. I'm out. I'm out, skis. All right, so that is the final trailer. Oh, woof. All right, so what would you guys think about the trailers this week? What was your favorite? What was your least favorite? Comment in the place where up on my face and let me know. My favorite, obviously, is Midnight Special, followed by Bastille Day, and the worst one was Kindergarten Cop 2, next to the boss, and then Pee-wee was just in the middle. So that's it for the trailers, guys. Let's get it. Let's step aside. Let's move the plates aside. The appetizers are done. The starters are done. They are out of the way. So now, let's get into the bulk of this podcast, which is the title of this episode, Risen and the Witch, which I find really funny because Risen is a religious movie and The Witch is a witch movie about witchcraft. So it's really funny how we're going back and forth with that. I think I'm going to start out with Risen. So this is my Risen movie review, and I promise you guys I will be as fair as possible because I'm going to let you guys know up front right now, not hiding anything, I am not religious. And I can tell you this right now, most religious movies are shit. They just are. The producers of them take advantage of the audience going to see them by making a cheap-looking movie and just expecting them to be okay with it. No, I don't want that. Like, I want every movie, whether it's garnered to teenagers, little children, adults with superhero movies, religious movies, whatever. If you are driving towards that audience, don't make your movie look like shit, okay? That's the biggest problem I have with religious movies. It's not even the message. It's the way it's written with its terrible dialogue, its stilted acting, and it's very, like, bright and soft lighting, soap opera-looking film that I'm just like, I can't believe people like this stuff. I can't. Now, if you go and you like the message in the story, that's fine. You do you. But I'm telling you from a technical standpoint, most religious movies are shit. So with that being said, this is not a religious podcast, so I'm not going to even get into that shit. I'm going to take this as a movie. Now, did I like this movie, Risen? Yeah, I kind of did, actually. I thought it was really entertaining. So with that being said, now you guys know I'm not going to just completely rip it apart. Let's get real and break this down. Now, I remember when Son of God came out last year, I saw it and I gave it like a C-. I didn't care for it. I thought the effects were bad. I thought the way it was shot was very TV movie-like. And then I recently found out it was on TV and they just grabbed those episodes and put them together into a movie. And Jesus still looks like a Hollister model. It just wasn't for me. Didn't really care for it. However, this one takes a different approach and a different perspective on the movie, which I really enjoy. So let's get into the directing and the writing. Now, it's co-written and directed by Kevin Reynolds, and he has directed movies like Waterworld, The Count of Monte Cristo, and so he's made some pretty viable movies on his resume. So I was actually really surprised when I found that out when I was doing my review for my channel earlier this week. So, like I said, I think the one thing I appreciate the most, let's get into the pros, is the way the story was told, because it's told from the point of view of a non-believer who is played by Joseph Fiennes, who does a fantastic job, by the way. So it adds that sense of because when you make a movie that's biased, it's kind of hard to bring in other people to see it. Now with this one, when you have a non-believer fueling the story, I mean, you probably know how this is going to end. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it shows it from both sides instead of one side. I like when movies do that. So I really appreciate the way this was told from the eyes of someone who thinks he knows everything in some parts of life, and then in other parts of life, he questions it like a normal human being. Why are we here? What is our purpose? Is there something out there? We as humans, we don't know these questions. And I love when movies can address that and make them human. That's what they felt like. I didn't feel like I was watching a Bible movie. I felt like I was watching real human characters going through these situations and problems and overcoming them through this really great arc, by the way, from the main character. It was a great character transformation. So I really enjoy the story and the way it was told, and because it's told when Jesus is in the tomb and he escapes. So it's like the resurrection or whatever. And I really liked the way that Joseph Fiennes was like going after people and going, where's the body at and stuff. And it almost felt like this really cool suspense mystery type of film. And I was like, man, this is really entertaining. Like, because regardless if it's a religious movie, a superhero movie, whatever, I go into a movie to be entertained. I can tell you I was entertained throughout the entire thing because it had a different flavor to it, a different tone that really grasped me. But with the story, like I said, we focus on this guy who doesn't believe, and when he does finally see something that will question his beliefs, his whole world is shattered. And I think that is a really good kind of hook for this type of story, because it's amazing when you can watch a character in a movie and they're so confident in what they know. They're just like, that does not exist. And then when he says something does not exist and it actually exists in front of him, he's a broken man. And he doesn't know how to repair himself. He will never think the same way again. And I love that. I fucking love that so much. So the story and the character arcs and just the way this film was told, I really appreciate from the writing and directing. I guess some of the cons would be, there was a couple of parts of the movie that were a little too hokey for me, a little too out there in terms of, just, it felt like it was too bright and happy, and I was like, you're doing really good, and you just kind of threw that in there. But other than that, there's hardly anything on the directing and writing that I had a problem with. Acting wise, Joseph Fiennes is amazing. I was so impressed by his performance. I've been a huge fan of him for a long time. I like both of the I like Ray Fiennes as well. He plays Voldemort. But anyways, I love Joseph Fiennes. There was a couple scenes in this movie where he gave such a great, like, Oscar caliber performance. I was like, what movie am I watching? Like, this is amazing. People are actually trying to make a good film. Because there's one scene in a bar when he's talking to someone that was guarding the tomb, and, he's questioning his own beliefs as well. It's a great conversation. I would recommend it just for that one scene. But he added so much weight to his character. Like, in the very beginning, he is a different person from the way he is at the end. I think it provides for a great character arc and transformation and for a great entertaining film. But his performance is just bar none the best thing about this movie. I guess some of the cons would be the supporting cast. Now, not all of them are terrible. There are a few characters, like the woman that played Mary Magdalene, the guy that played what's his name? Abraham or Joshua or Joseph. It was one of the disciples, I forgot. And, he was pretty fine. And Tom Felton, who plays Malfoy in Harry Potter or whatever, he's in this movie. And he's fine. He's serviceable. So I'll give him that. The person that played the, what's his name? Like Pontius Pilate or something like that. He's like the head dude. He's like a Caesar. He got a little hammy in a couple of parts, but overall I thought he was really good and stuff. And believe it or not, he actually spout out some of the funniest lines in the movie. Like, there's actually a little bit of humor in this. I really appreciate it. This is kind of an all-encompassing genre film. And the one thing I will say that I really appreciate about this movie is that Jesus is portrayed by someone who isn't white, and he's portrayed like an actual Arab Jew, like it is in the Bible. Because if you read the Bible, it says that he had dark skin, dark hair, he was kind of stubby or whatever, so he sounded like a normal fucking human back in the day. And they got an actor to actually fulfill that role, and I thought he was the best portrayal of Jesus in terms of looks and stuff. And his performance was pretty good too. But in terms of looks and stuff, that is the most accurate representation I've ever seen. Because I hate when movies have like the Abercrombie and Fitch Jesus, and he's like, the brown flowing hair, he's like about as white as me, and it just, no, it's like, do what it says in the Bible, and it makes for a better movie. And I thought the guy playing Jesus was pretty good. Cinematography wise, it's really weird because during the daytime, it looked really set-y. Like it looked like they were on a set. It looked like it just didn't look real. It didn't look like it was grounded in reality in any way, shape, or form. However, this is why I'm conflicted with the cinematography and the way it was shot. At night, it looked really good. It looked like a Game of Thrones episode. So in some scenes, I was like, maybe it was just the way it was lit during the day. I don't know. But the way it was shot at night, I really enjoyed. There was some really good camera positions and really good lighting with the characters and stuff. So the nighttime was really good, but the daytime was just, it was like whatever. It was like, it kind of looks like a set. But overall, it wasn't shot poorly at all. Way better than Son of God. Excuse me. Editing-wise, this movie's about an hour and 40 minutes. Flew by for me. I really enjoyed the pace of this film, except for like the first like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. It was a little rocky, and it took me a while to get into. But I think as soon as Jesus was put in the tomb, that's when the movie kicked into high gear, and I was like, "Oh my God, well, what happened? Like, which route are they going to go? Is he going to, find someone that believes in them, and is he going to find Jesus, like, or is he just going to go kill people? I don't know. It was just very conflicting for his character, for Joseph Fiennes and stuff. So after he was put in the tomb, I felt the pace of it it hit its cadence, it hit its rhythm. But before that, it felt a little bumpy or whatnot. So overall, guys, I think this is a very good story, a very different story for this type of movie. A couple of hokey scenes, but I'm still going to let that slide. The acting was all around very, very good. A great portrayal of Jesus. It was shot very well at night, but some of the daytime stuff was kind of meh. And besides the first 10 or 15 minutes, I thought the rest of the movie was very entertaining, and it had a nice flow to it. I was really surprised. I couldn't give this movie a C+. I just couldn't, because I was like, there's a lot of good aspects about it to where I'm going to give Risen a B-. I think it's a very entertaining religious movie, and it's by far the best one I've seen so far in a long time. My favorite one that I've seen in recent memory was Noah, that came out in 2013, I believe. That one was really good. I really liked Darren Aronofsky's vision of that and how it was told and how it was visually told as well. So, yeah, I'm going to give Risen a B-. I was actually really entertained, and I love just the different perspective on it. I do. And this is the type of movie to where even non-believers, even if you don't like the movie, they have some questions in the movie to where you go, maybe I could believe one day. But for right now, if you don't, you could be like Joseph Fiennes' character, where like you don't know what's real and what's not. You just don't. And you're going to go with the crowd until you actually physically see it for yourself, or you witness something to get you believing. Until then, it's not going to you're not going to change your mind. But I think this movie does open up the possibilities of like asking more questions, like, why are we here? What is our purpose? What do I believe? What do I not believe? Like, it's a great movie to answer those or ask those questions and stuff, and have good conversations with your friends about religion and life and stuff. So I don't know. For me personally, guys, I found entertainment, and it's sue me. I'm gonna give Risen a B-. All right, so let's get into The Witch. All right, so I have been holding back on this movie for 6 fucking months, and what do I mean by that? I saw this movie in September of last year, and I didn't want to review it on my channel because I figured it'd be too early. And I reviewed it for the channel We Love Film, the channel I went down to Austin for. So I was like, I want to hold back until it comes out, the weekend it comes out, and then I'll talk about it. So I saw The Witch 6 months ago, and you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Chase, you motherfucker, like, why would you review a movie you saw 6 months ago? You probably don't remember anything from it. Actually, I do. I remember like 95% of the movie. There might be a few scenes I'm kind of fuzzy on, but for the most part, I remember everything from start to finish, how it looked, how it felt, the ending, just the acting, everything. I remember all that. So I feel like I I can do pretty well in relaying this information to you. So let's get real and break this down. Now, I must say before we start, The Witch is not a typical horror film. And I think when little kiddies go in there and they expect Ouija 2, Ouija, you're not going to fucking get that. You're going to get an actual good film that's more creepy and terrifying and kind of gets under your skin with its atmosphere than fucking jump scares. Now, does this movie have jump scares? Yeah, it's got a couple, but it's not like littered with them where you're just like, no. Because think of jump scares like acne. It's like I would only want like a couple on my face because it's natural and stuff, but I don't want like my whole fucking face covered with it. If you have a horror film, it is okay to have a jump scare every now and then, like maybe a couple. But if you have it every fucking 2 minutes, it takes you out of the movie. So that was a terrible analogy with the acne thing. So I don't know what I'm talking about. All right. So The Witch. Let's get into the writing and directing. Now, it's written and directed by Robert Eggers. And what I really appreciate about this movie and what I really appreciate about good horror films is I look at my criteria: atmosphere, tone, cinematography / lighting, and for a bonus, score and music. Those are the 4 things that you need to have in order to make a successful and effective horror film. And he does just that. Besides maybe some pacing issues in the story, I thought from beginning to end, this was a nail biter. This was like I had my hands on my armrest while I was watching this, and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I felt the dread. I felt the misery. My heart was pounding. The atmosphere that he creates, which is the 1600s kind of New England territory where they talk like they're, come hither with the fucking goat. I mean, they don't say fuck, but come hither with the goat and get the milk and bring it to the fucking house. I don't know, but you guys know what I'm saying. They spoke differently back in the day, and they really captured the cadences and the breaths and the wording in that type of language to where I felt like I was watching like a documentary of people back in the day versus like a movie that was made like 2 years ago. So I really appreciate the way it was written, and story-wise, it was good. It was a very, very slow burn. So I'm gonna give you guys a fair warning right now. A very good slow burn, but I thought the interest of the witch and witchcraft in this family, because it's more of like a family drama. I thought that intrigued me a lot, and I didn't feel it drag too much. Now, like I said, there was a couple parts where I felt a little slow, but for the most part, I think they have a pretty good paced horror film that just kind of gets under your skin and gets on your nerves in the best way possible. So, in terms of the way it's directed and stuff, like I said, I think he really captures the atmosphere and the tone of this movie. It just looks so crisp and beautiful and haunting and disturbing all at the same time with all of its harsh shadows and whatnot. It just, it's so great. So besides a couple of like pacing issues and maybe the ending, as I'm talking about this, I'll see if my mind changes, but the ending, I kind of / don't have a problem with. I don't know. It's really weird. I have a problem somewhat of the ending, but not really. I don't know. It's fucking weird. All right. Let's get into the acting. The acting is spectacular. All the way from the kids to the teenagers to the parents, everyone delivers a great job, and they really capture the essence of the 1600s and really spout off this dialogue and make it seem authentic and natural. Like that's the most hard part about this movie, is making this dialogue feel like it is grounded in that time frame. The actors do just that. There are a couple scenes, especially with the little boy and like the teenage girl. It's just so creepy and disturbing. I'm just like, oh, like you just feel dirty after watching it. Like, there's some really great scenes with these actors, and that's really all I can say about the acting. It's just all around fantastic job, and I think nailing that dialogue and making it seem believable in that time frame, it's high praise. Cinematography-wise, now this film won Best Director and Best Cinematography, I believe cinematography, at Sundance last year. Not this past year, but last year. And this is a gorgeous film. I love the bleak grays and blacks in this movie. Like nothing is colorful about this movie. It is so dreary and it is so depressing, but it kind of fits with the mood of what the family's going with, because something happens early on to where they're pretty much miserable throughout the entire thing, and they're just kind of like trudging along the movie, trying to figure out what happened and how to make it work and stuff. So the cinematography is very heavy in the blacks and the grays, but the way it's filmed, it's almost like The Revenant in terms of it feels like natural lighting, and it feels so just beautiful and haunting out in those forests and the trees and their little cabin and stuff. I just felt the cinematography was just so gorgeous. It just, you are soaked into that beautiful kind of a disturbing world, and it makes for some great visuals. There's some shots in this movie that you're just like, well, damn, like I want that as like my thumbnail for this movie. It just the cinematography is just so gorgeous and like I said, haunting at the same time, especially when it's with its dreary colors. Editing wise, this is where people have the most problem. I don't think most people will like the story, and I also don't think most people will like the pacing of this film. This is a slow burn. Now, 2 years ago when Foxcatcher came out, I love Foxcatcher. But I can tell you and admit to you, that movie is about as slow as a fucking snail, and you really got to be interested in the story to make it to the end. Like I said, there are a few parts for me that were slow. For most people, I am warning you right now, this whole fucking movie is going to seem very slow to you, and I don't think you're going to really enjoy it. If you don't like slow burns, you will not like this. If you're looking for like a really gory, like, fast-paced horror film, jump scare after jump scare, you ain't going to get this. This is a real film that has good cinematography, good acting, a good creepy story. This is what horror movies should be like. They should create the atmosphere and create the tone to get into you. Like, that's what I liked about Foxcatcher, because it was almost like a horror film. It latched onto you like a fucking snake and did not let go. And you're sitting there just feeling so uncomfortable, but that's what a horror movie's job is to do, is to make you feel uncomfortable and just creep you out. That's a great horror film, and that's exactly what this movie does. This movie is like a match. You strike the match, and it's fucking burning. And you're like, oh my God, it's going to get down to the end of the match or whatever. And then this is where I'm going to say I don't like the ending. And here's why. I'm not going to say the ending. I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but I will say the ending is very abrupt, and it just kind of makes you go, oh, wow. Is there more? I'm really confused. Is that how it's going to end? Because the whole time I was talking about it, I was like, do I like the ending or do I not? Because I still think about it to this day, because it was one of those endings where, like, I was sitting in my chair at this point. I'm like, oh my God. And the end happens and the movie's done. I was like, okay. So it was kind of like, it was somewhat climactic, but kind of not. It's really weird. The ending is going to divide people, and some people might walk out going, well, that was a fucking waste of time. And then some people will go, wow, that kind of left me with chills down my spine type of deal. So I'm going to say it's half and half for me. I think on one hand, it does leave you kind of like kind of shocked and just overall like scared out of your mind when it ends. You're just like, what just happened? But at the same time, I feel like it felt like a very typical Hollywood movie type of ending. And I don't know. I'd have to see it again, but I do remember the ending very, very clearly. The build up to the ending is very great, because you're like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. Just when you guys see it. So the ending is going to be very polarizing, and so is the pace of the film. But for me personally, besides a few slow parts, I think it's a very well slow burn that will just get under your skin. So The Witch, guys. This is a great modern horror film, and it's actually on my top 10 of the year right now until I see 10 other films that knocks it out of the way. But for right now, I can officially put it on my list because I saw it last year. I was waiting for it to come out this year. It's a great horror film, guys. It's soaked in the atmosphere, soaked in that tone. It captures the 1600s so well. It's so damn creepy. And I fucking love it. And the only reason I'm going to drag it down to this grade is because the ending, I still don't know what to think about it. But overall, guys, I'm going pretty high. I'm giving The Witch an A-. It's a really good horror film. Kind of reminds me of It Follows from last year, on how It Follows was pretty, kind of influential in the horror genre last year. That's how I kind of feel about this one. So have you seen Risen or have you seen The Witch? If you have, comment in the place where I'll put my face and let me know. So let's get on to the box office results. Oh shit, I don't have a header for it. Whoops. Sorry. I'll just put the title of the podcast. All right, so let's get into the box office results for the weekend, guys. All right. So coming in at number 5, well, actually, we had 3 movies come out this week. We had Race, The Witch, and Risen. So just keep that in mind. Race came in at number 6 with 7.2 million. I didn't really think this movie was going to do well anyways. I kind of want to see it, but my car is inoperable right now, so I can't just, walk around everywhere. So, yeah, that's not really that much. All right, number 5 is How to Be Single with 8.2 million. On a budget of 38 domestically, which is the U.S. and Canada, it's got 31 million, and worldwide it's got 55. It needs to make about 72, 75-ish with the marketing to break even. Doesn't really look like it's going to do that. All right, number 4 is The Witch with 8.6 million. That's actually really good. I didn't even think it was going to get that much because it's such a niche horror film, because it's like a horrific Stanley Kubrick movie, or like the movie Under the Skin from 2014. I really love that one, and that one's not for everyone, so I totally get it. But for this movie, that's really good. Worldwide, it doesn't have any numbers, and its budget is unlisted, but 8.6, not bad for that movie. Number 3 is Risen with 11.8 million. Respectable, because usually religious movies, they'll hit anywhere from like 10 to 20 opening weekend. Its budget is 20 million, and right now domestically, there's no worldwide numbers. It's 11.8, so it needs to make about 40-ish to break even. I think it'll have value in the weeks coming ahead. I think people will still want to go see it and stuff. Number 2, Kung Fu Panda 3 with 12.5 million, and its domestic haul up right now is up to 117, and its worldwide haul is up to 279. Its budget is unlisted, but 279 isn't that bad. It's a little less than the other 2 Kung Fu Pandas, but whatever. And then number 1, it is number 1 again. That would be Deadpool with 55 more million. It opened up to 135 last week, so it dropped about 58.5%. So right now, I'm so fucking happy. Okay. Deadpool's budget is 58 million. It needed to make about 116, maybe. I'm gonna tack on like 15, 20 million because the marketing was insane and there was a lot of it. So I'm gonna say about 135 to break even. They did that last weekend, by the way. Right now, domestically, Deadpool's got 235 million, and worldwide it's got 491 million. In 2 weeks, this movie's almost made $500 million. Keep that in mind, and the budget's 58. Yeah, 20th Century Fox is fucking swimming in the money right now. They are Scrooge McDucking it in their vaults, and they're probably breaking their noses and stuff because don't dive into gold coins. It's probably not a good idea. But I'm sure they're super excited to move on to Deadpool 2. I am as well. I'm super excited to see it. So, fuck me, man. That is so much. All right, so that's it, guys. That will do it for this week's episode of Real Me and Colin, a movie podcast. I want to thank you guys for listening to episode 118. And if you were listening on Spreaker or iHeartRadio and you want a video version of this podcast and see me flail around, then link will be in the description below. If you were watching on YouTube and you want an audio-only version of this podcast and you don't want to see me, I'll miss you. I won't be hurt, but I will miss you. Then link will be in the description below. And as far as all my Twitters and my tweeters and stuff. Where are we at? Oh, sorry. Clicking the wrong headers. All right. So you can follow me at Real Chasely just right here on the header. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube page, you can do just that and get updates when I do these things live and whatnot. Is that all the shit? You can also find me on DallasMovieScreens.com and We Live Film YouTube page. And that's pretty much it. So next week, guys, episode 119. I don't know if I'm going to do it over 2 movies, but I can tell you for sure, this is a confirmation. One of the reviews, if the only review, will be over 999. And I will also have a bonus episode next week. Next week, guys, join me and Terrence Page and maybe some other guests might pop up. I'm going to cover the full Oscar ceremony. It's the full 3.5 hours. So I'm doing 2 episodes on Sunday. It's going to be fucking insane. So I will have episode 119 next Sunday, and I will cover the Oscars live on YouTube and the Spreaker website on Sunday night. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Come join me if you want to. You can if you want. If not, I'll still love you. So that will do it for this week's episode of Real Me and Colin, a movie podcast. And hey, listen, if you stuck around and you listened to this entire thing and you're not a movie fan, well, maybe I convinced you to be one. The intro and outro music is done by my friend's band, Fervent Roze. Check them out. Link in the description below. I will see you guys next week for another episode of this craptastic show. Play me out. Where's the fucking music? Boom! 118, mother effers. Woohoo! We're getting up there. I'm getting old. I'll be 119 next week. I'll see you guys later.